friends, and welcome to the Liz Moody podcast, where every week we are sharing real science, real stories, and realistic tools that actually level up every part of your life. I'm your host, Liz Moody, and I'm a best-selling author and longtime journalist. Today, I'm going to share 9 questions that you can ask yourself to make 2025 your best year yet. You can reflect on these on your own. You can do them with a partner. But I promise, and science shows, that if you really think about these answers and you take the action steps that I'm going to suggest in this episode, these will change your life. All right, let's get right into it. Question 1. Who is one person that I am jealous of? What stokes my envy specifically? Over and over, psychologists on this podcast emphasize that envy is an incredibly useful emotion. If you randomly sit down and you ask yourself, what do I want in life? It's really easy to come up short. Our brains just aren't really that great at giving us direct information. But if you ask yourself, who is one person that I'm jealous of? Why do I feel this way specifically? It gives us really valuable information about what we want in our lives. Also, I know that people are going to yell at me for this, but I'm just going to use jealousy and envy interchangeably here. And technically, definition-wise, we are talking about envy, but colloquially, I find jealousy to be much more normal to say. And I think it's become part of the lexicon in this way, even if the technical definition has not yet caught up. So I'm just saying this so that you don't all come and yell at me in my DMs. But we are basically just talking about wanting what other people have. So ask yourself who you're jealous of, why you're jealous, and really try, this is super key, really try to get super specific. Is it because of their job? What is it about their job? Is it the working hours? Is it the power that they have? Is it the pay that they get? Is it the shape, the general construction of their day? Is it their partner? What are the qualities about their partner that you're jealous of? You're not looking to do like a one-to-one swap here. Obviously, you can't be like, they have this job, I want this job. They have this partner, I want this partner. That's not going to be probably possible or great for your relationship. But by getting really granular and specific, you can uncover information about what you do want, and then you can begin to action that. Maybe you can swap jobs for one that has a better work-life balance. Maybe you can change the way that you're prioritizing things within your own calendar. Maybe you can go out on dates with people that you would normally swipe away from. I have personally found this question to be really helpful in my journey to figure out whether or not I want to have kids. By seeing whose lives I'm envious of and what specifically stokes that envy, I've been able to glean far more information than if I just sat around and I was like, do I want to have a kid? Do I not want to have a kid? I can look at people with kids. I can look at people without kids, and I can see what's stoking that envy in me. So what are you envious of? What are you jealous of? And what specifically is responsible for that feeling? Get as specific as possible. That's key to this one. Question 2, what do I spend time on that delivers the least results? To do this one, I find it really helpful to make a list of things that take up a lot of my time. Things like meetings or household chores or time with family and friends. And then I ask myself, what is the goal of all of these things that I'm doing? And am I achieving that goal? I have a good friend who is spending a ton of time going to different workout classes, and she wasn't really feeling the benefit. She didn't feel stronger. She felt a lot poorer because these workout classes are very expensive. She had less energy than she felt like she had before she was doing all of these classes. So she was spending a ton of time on something that she felt like she should be doing, and it was essentially wasted time because it wasn't leading to the results that she wanted. And now she recognized that. She switched up her workout routine and she works out way less. She feels way better. And we have a whole podcast actually about designing an ideal workout routine for yourself coming up on our very next episode of the podcast. So make sure that you're subscribed so you do not miss that. It explains why she wasn't getting any results. But take a look at the way that you are spending your time and ask yourself, am I getting results from this time usage? Maybe you need to restructure how you work. Maybe you've been eating a certain way because you feel like you should eat that way, and it's not actually making you feel the way that you want to feel. But the point of this question, it's just to prevent the inertia of habits and lives, this pull to just keep doing the same thing, even if it's not getting us where we want to go. So Ask yourself this question and then ask yourself what you can try in the new year to potentially experience different results and feel different, maybe feel the way that you want to feel. Question 3, what is one word for how I want to feel every day, and what's one thing I can calendar in to feel that way? My friend Tara Schuster always says, life is not a series of crises to be endured. Life is meant to be enjoyed. And I think a lot of us agree with that in theory, but then if you look at our day-to-day lives, we are careening from one crisis to another, and then we're wondering why we do not feel the way that we want to feel. We're not always going to feel exactly the way that we want to feel every single day because life gets in the way, and we're not all like princesses with yachts and private chefs, although if you are, super more power to you. Like, most of us will probably have to unload the dishwasher. Most of us will have to answer emails to go through a to-do list. But the point of this question is to intentionally create at least one moment a day to feel the way that you want to feel. Because if you don't do that, you are just letting your life pass you by. You are waiting for a day in the future where maybe you finally earned feeling the way that you want to feel, which we push further and further out. And then we die and we're full of regrets. I'm sorry to be grim, but it is true. Stop postponing your life. Your life is right now, and you deserve one thing a day that feels like your dream life. For me, when I asked myself that question recently, the word was expansive. When I picture my dream life, I want it to feel expansive in almost every way. The conversations that I have. I want to have a home with really high ceilings and a view where I can see far away. I want to have a schedule where I'm not rushing from thing to thing to thing. I can't have all of those things right now, but I can, and I did change my schedule so that it wasn't just back to back to back. Instead of leaving the exact time that Google Maps tells me that it takes to get somewhere, I add a buffer. I don't schedule meetings back to back when I can help it, and it has made my life feel way more expansive. So come up with one word: expansive, free, connected, strong, romantic. It is your word. You get to choose how you want to feel. And then to make sure that you actually embody that word, just for a moment, schedule one thing into your calendar. Maybe it is a bath with a book and candlelight, or a call with a friend, or a vacation, or maybe, like me, it's taking things off of your calendar. But your dream life starts in these small moments, and you deserve to start having them today. Question 4. What is a little thing that I can do differently? This one is a little bit different. It's more of a constant reflection question than a one-time one, but I have found it so incredibly useful that I have to share it with you. I was on a meditation retreat recently. I have an entire episode about it if you would like to listen. And I was having a really hard time. I was being really hard on myself. I was feeling really depressed. And I was talking to one of the facilitators, and she said, when what I'm doing isn't working, I do something different. This sounds kind of obvious, and it goes with that old adage, the definition of insanity is to do the exact same thing and expect different results, which is not the definition of insanity, by the way. But when I began to reflect on my days and my life, I realized how often I was doing the same thing and expecting different results. I would feel down for weeks, but I would live out the same day the entire time. I would wake up in the same way. I would scroll on my phone in the same way. I would do the same workout. I would hang out with the same people. To feel different, we need to do different. So that day that I talked to the facilitator, as often as I could, I tried to make a different choice than I normally would. I'd been afraid to jump into the cold swimming pool that was at this retreat center. So I did that. I did different meditations in different places than I normally would. I ate lunch in a different spot. I just tried to make these tiny different choices so that I could open myself up to different possibilities and different results. And it completely changed my mood, and it completely changed my experience on that retreat. So since then, I've been doing the same thing. If I am not feeling how I want to feel, I ask myself what little things I can change. I don't even think of them in a results-oriented way. It's just like, if I normally wouldn't walk around the block right now, why not try it? If I normally would lay and scroll and that's not making me feel the way that I want to feel, could I call a friend instead? If the things we're doing aren't leading to the results that we want, what can we do differently? It is an ongoing reflection and ongoing experimentation, and I really encourage you to try it because it has made a huge difference in my life. Question 5. If my 90-year-old self was looking back at my life right now, what would they be screaming at me? You know, I love to have us think about our deaths. I probably talk about it too much, but it's such an important practice for gaining a sense of perspective that can really be sense-making in our lives. According to work from Dr. Shoshana Ungerleider and author Bronnie Ware, the most common top 3 regrets of the dying are: 1, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And 3, I didn't take risks and I let myself be controlled by fear. Maybe these instantly resonate with you. Maybe you can hear these and immediately feel in your soul that you are living a life based on what others expect of you and not based on your needs, your hopes, your dreams. Maybe there's a risk that you know that you need to take, and you can use this question and this research to push yourself to do it. Dan Pink, who we've had on this podcast, also has research around the fact that we regret the risks that we do not take far more than the risks that we do take, even if we fail to achieve whatever we were risking things for. Maybe your 90-year-old self is screaming at you to put your phone down and spend face-to-face time with the people that you love. Maybe they are screaming at you to start singing lessons. Maybe they're telling you to quit your job or to move, or maybe they're saying, please, please do not spend this one wild and precious and beautiful life that we have hating your thighs or hating your skin. So just take a second, listen to that 90-year-old version of you and see what comes up and see how it can inspire you to alter what you're going to do in this coming year. Question 6, what's one recurring plan I can make to improve a relationship in my life? I came up with this question to maximize off of 2 pieces of research. One is the forever cited Harvard School of Adult Development study that found that the quality of our relationships was the single largest predictor of longevity and happiness in our lives. And then the second is research that shows that it takes 200 hours to develop deep, satisfying relationships. If you combine these 2 facts, recurring plans, i.e., making it easy to clock the needed hours with the people that you want to develop and deepen relationships with, are one of the best paths to living longer, happier lives. Pick one person who really makes you feel the way that you want to feel in your life. It can be a partner, a parent, a sister, a friend, someone that you know from Instagram DMs, a work colleague. Anyone whose company you enjoy and you want to deepen the relationship with, even if the relationship is already really deep. Now, make one recurring plan with them. Take a class together, make a work date, work out together, do a movie or book or podcast club once a month. Set it and forget it to take the decision fatigue out of it, and then sit back and reap the rewards of deeper, more satisfying relationships and all of those health benefits, all of those happiness benefits. Make recurring plans with one person in your life. Question 7. What memory makes me smile the most from the past year? What's one thing I can do to have more moments like this next year? This question is here because we are actually fairly bad at figuring out what truly makes us happy in life. There's great research around this. There's something called hedonic adaptation, which essentially means that when we upgrade our lives, we adjust to that as the new normal, and then we get decreasing happiness returns, which explains why new houses, new cars, and other new material items don't tend to make us as happy as we think. There's other research that shows that the extrinsic goals that we often spend much of our time pursuing, things like money and status and beauty, actually don't lead to happiness nearly as much as intrinsic goals like relationship and growth and meaningful work. There are numerous studies that support something called the arrival fallacy. Essentially, when we tell ourselves, if this, I will be happy. If I get that job, if I get that boyfriend, if I buy that house. Those if statements are false. We return to baseline happiness incredibly quickly. So for this question, I would love you to really think back on your year and think about what made you smile the most. I don't care what that thing is. I just want you to recognize it and for it to feel really true to you, not to people trying to sell you things, not to your friend or your mom or your dad. You. Once you have recognized that thing, I want you to think of one way that you can add more of that to your life in the coming year. Question 8. What's one thing I spent money on that brought me happiness? What did I spend money on that didn't increase my happiness as much as I thought it would? This goes back to the same research that shows that we are really bad at predicting what will make us happy, and advertisers take advantage of this to get us to spend a ton of money on things that we do not really want or need. The best antidote to this is to really reflect on your purchases and if they serve the goal that you wanted them to serve. For this one, you can even get out your bank statement or your credit card bill so you can remember all the things that you spent money on, big and small. And then ask yourself, did those purchases contribute to your happiness? This can be in a direct way, like a straightforward savoring moment, something that really brought you pleasure at the time, or an indirect way, like a continuing education class that brought you closer to your goals. And what didn't bring you happiness? Can you dig into why, and can you get as granular as possible? I took a vacation last year that I spent a ton of money on, and when I did this exercise, I realized that vacation didn't really bring me happiness at all. This does not mean that the category of vacations didn't bring me happiness, but it helped me reflect on what type of vacations bring me happiness. In this case, I went to a destination that didn't align with how I like spending my time on vacation. I tend to like to learn, to grow, or to really hardcore relax, like to lay and relax all day on vacations these days, because that is just where I am at in my life right now. And this vacation that I'm talking about didn't align with that at all. But on the other hand, I also spent a huge chunk of money paying for my meal prep person, and I literally felt happier every single day because I had healthy food ready at hand to heat up with no effort needed on my end. I also realized I'm not really into massages anymore when I did this exercise. I used to love them. I'm not quite sure why I don't right now, but they're not hitting for me and they're very expensive. Also, I realized there's not a single meal that I ate out that I can really remember or that I felt particularly happy after. Far and away, my happiest times with friends were doing game nights or karaoke, not sitting at a restaurant. But that might be wildly different for you. So go through your purchases and learn from your reflections. And finally, question 9. What were your biggest energy drains and your biggest energy boosts in the past year? How can you eliminate one drain and maximize one boost in the next year? The more that I do my job, the more that I think energy is the missing part of the best life equation that no one is talking about. Zach and I were even talking about this recently for building friendships. So many of us are lonely. So many of us wish we had more friends. And it's not actually the meeting people that feels hard, I don't think. It's the energy that it takes to move someone from a stranger into that true comfort zone that feels exhausting. I actually think that energy depletion is a huge root cause of the loneliness crisis. We have a whole episode coming up about why we're energy depleted and what to do about it with 3 different doctors coming in January. So make sure that you're following the pod so you do not miss out on that. Actually, a really quick sidebar about that. I know that 50% of you listening to this episode do not follow the podcast. I can see that on the back end analytics. Seriously, just take 1 second right now to hit that follow or subscribe button. It is the best way to support the podcast. It makes sure that the episodes show up right in your feed. And we have an entire 21-day plan for January with accompanying episodes about how to eat healthy, how to put together the best workout routine for your goals, how to stress less and fight loneliness, and so much more. So if you hit the follow button, all of that will show up right in your feed. But for this question, I would love for you to just reflect on what filled you with energy and what drained you of energy. Think about every part of your life, the people in it, the routines that you do, the foods that you ate. What filled you with energy and what drained you of energy? How can you maximize the energy boosters? Let's say that you notice that meditating always fills you with energy. Can you block out time on your calendar during a low energy time of the day to do that? Let's say you notice when you eat a lot of sugary snacks, you feel more low energy. Can you stop buying them so you only eat them out? Can you make more plans with people who fill you with energy to be around them? And can you make less plans with the people who drain you of energy? I really want you to just take an audit of the past year, thinking in terms of energy, and think, how can you add in more energy boosting activities, more energy boosting people, more energy boosting foods, and take away those energy drains. This will free up the energy that you need to live the life that you want to live. That is all from me. I hope these questions were helpful. We have so much content planned for the next month to really help you hone in on your healthiest, happiest life, including a 21-day plan for food, movement, mental health, and more. So make sure that you're following the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube so you do not miss out on that. A lot of the recipes, the workout moves, and just the written content for the plan will also be over on our newsletter. So head over to lizmoody.substack.com. You can subscribe for free to get it delivered right to your inbox. There's going to be so many incredible resources packed into that. Okay, I love you, and I will see you on the next episode of the Liz Moody Podcast. Oh, just one more thing. It's the legal language. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, a psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional.